Oh, YouTube ketchup. Yeah, ketchup.
Wait. Ketchup?
Are we live?
Okay.
Are we live? Oh, no, mustard.
I thought we were talking about ketchup now. Oh, YouTube ketchup.
Well, we can a new condiment every week.
Does YouTube have
every
their
show.
own brand of ketchup? It's like YouTube ketchup. It's as red as the logo.
Gross.
Why? You guys remember green ketchup and blue ketchup and purple ketchup? Like the worst idea that anyone ever had.
Thing. No one ever did that.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Did they taste different?
I saw kids. No, but they mentally they made you feel different. If you're eating a hot dog with green or blue ketchup on it, it just doesn't sit right with there's something in your brain that switches over and you're like, oh God, this is disgusting. Even though it just tastes like ketchup.
Mentally, it makes you feel different. Purple ketchup makes me feel sad.
Yeah. It's like mood ketchup. It's like a mood ring. You know, your hot dogs. Like, yeah.
Offcore in the chat goes, "You're live, guys."
We know that. You know, we know that.
I didn't actually know that.
Okay. Well,
that's why we were leaning into that dumb conversation.
Okay, let's start.
I mean, I knew that.
You want it?
Let's start.
You guys want to get started?
This is PSVR GamesCast Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's crazy, man. I still can't believe we're actually doing this. It was a pipe dream, and now it's actually a thing. I just want to say real quick, Salvador Saavedra in the chat says, I remember purple. And that's important, man, because I don't really trust your memory of ketchup.
Peter Cordova, green ketchup in the late 90s. He's right. Rypop says colored ketchup was the thing to get kids to eat more of it, which is a weird thing. How do you have to make a kid eat more ketchup?
It's all sugar to begin with. I don't understand why.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
Could this possibly be?
This kid's not eating enough ketchup. I don't know. As a parent, I feel like I would have failed if that was something I thought.
My name is Bryan Paul from this channel right here, PSVR Without Parole, and the guys to my right, the boys, Dave from Dave Station R. That spells voir. I don't know if you put all those syllables together. And that guy on the right-hand side of the screen is AJ from The Underground, PSVR Underground.
What is up, Brian, Dave, GameCast? Happy Friday. I'm happy to announce that this is legit the final day of mine staying out in Tennessee. I'm fully vaccinated, baby. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do is go home and just lick all the streets and the street signs and everything. I can't wait.
Oh, street signs. I've missed you. Oh, so much. How much have you missed this tongue stop sign, yield sign? Do not enter
back to your old,
stop, Brian. Stop.
Back to your old tricks. Back to your old tricks.
Right on. The coffee just kicked in. That's amazing. Guys, this is PSVR Gamescast Live, where we talk about PlayStation VR pretty much constantly, except for the times that we don't. And then people get mad about the things that we say, which is always a lot of fun. Welcome to the comment section.
Sorry.
It's okay. I spent the last 12 hours defending myself, but it's okay. It only made us stronger. That's right. I got so much PSVR news to take care of today, but we do want to remind you before we get started that you should join our Discord, man, because that's where all the coolest cats hang out. That is where I spent the first 3 hours of my day today, which is why nothing got done. So it's awesome hanging out with you guys and hanging out, drinking coffee and stuff. Discord, click the link in the description. Even if you've never been part of a Discord before, it turns out ours is the best one. It's the best one. Agreed? Anybody on that side of the screen want to agree?
I was talking to the chat.
Carlos said yeah. Carlos said yeah. Look, Carlos said yeah.
If
he's over there. He's not even looking at the screen, but I'm sure he agrees.
Okay.
My aim controller agrees with you, Brian.
Yeah.
Trust the old aim controller.
Excellent.
My aim controller disagrees with your aim controller, AJ.
Oh, bring it on! Bring it on, big man.
I don't have.
That's us playing Alvo.
Pew, 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 pew. All right, guys, let's get started. We have so much news to talk about. AJ, what is the first news story on the docket for this Friday, April 16th?
Vader Immortal.
You gotta be shitting
you
me.
guys.
What about it?
So, Vader Immortal.
They fixed the wrists? They fixed the floppy wrists?
No.
Wait, but they added full locomotion?
No,
They didn't have what's the news, AJ?
I can tell the coffee hit. The coffee totally just hit. Oh my god!
Somebody in the comments said I wasn't energetic enough. I was like, we're fucking changing that today, people.
Well, so, Brian, here's what they're saying now. PS5 4K gameplay says crack kills. That's where you've got us to now.
Been there, done that. Okay.
This is a real Friday show for sure.
I've been telling you guys, and hopefully everyone else I've been talking to, that I've been really wanting. Perp Games has been so supportive of PSVR since the beginning. They've had these physical copies, but I've always thought the game selection, they've had some good ones for sure, but I've always thought the majority of what they got was like,
VR carts physical, right?
Yeah. They've never had the best selection. They've never had a big hitter. Maybe Walking Dead Onslaught was maybe an exception. I know that sells. Golem didn't sell well.
But it was awesome.
But they finally are getting Vader, Immortal, the Star Wars trilogy episode story. And yeah, man. And I'm honestly really, really happy for Perp Games because I think this is a huge get for them.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had more U.S. distribution because, like, this seems like something that ought to be in GameStops and Targets and shit. Like, if I was, a parent buying a new system for my kid and I saw a Star Wars game sitting on the shelf, I would pick that up for him, without even thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So I think physical copies in stores in America would be great, but I'm sure it sells like hotcakes in the UK as well. But does Perp have, like, store distribution, or is it all through their personal... website?
It really depends, right? It really depends on which game it is and what the deal was. By the way, Bel Ramio, the Game Cat with the €5 donation says, "Happy Friday." Yes, happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday,
Thank you so much, Bel. We appreciate you. The fact is like some of their deals have worked it out so that like Golem, as we were just talking about, I saw that in Target. Like that was like everywhere.
Okay.
It just that was an actual retail game here in the US. But
it was through Perp.
It was through
also
Perp.
In the US.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
But so many of their games you can only get from the Perp website, and they're basically all of them come with the PEGI rating on it. You can't even and because like they're not technically allowed to just like sell to the US because they don't have the US distribution rights in that way. You have to email them and you have to be like, "Dear Perp Games, my name is Brian Paul and I live in Massachusetts. That's the United States. Could I order this game and this game?" And they're like, "Sure, we'll send you an invoice." And the whole thing feels like so like exactly what it is. It's like a mom and pop shop, and that's exactly what Perp Games actually is. And so it just feels weird. It's like their site's not designed for just being like, "I'm going to go to Perp Games or perp.com, perpgames.com, and just click on a couple things, put it in my basket, and check out." You got to email them and tell them what you want. So yeah, I agree with you. I wish more games were like Golem, and they could just walk into a store and buy it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like when I asked at GameStop, "Hey, do you guys have Doom 3 VR?" One of the GameStops had no clue what I was talking about, but the other one was like, "Yeah, we got a ton of copies of it, apparently," and the guy didn't even realize that they had it in stock. But that's one, occasionally you get a GameStop exclusive, and oddly enough, those are the games they actually stock in the store. I don't know if you guys have tried to pick up a release day game from GameStop without pre-ordering it, but essentially they're just like, "Oh no, all we have is pre-orders. We don't have any for you."
Huh.
Even though the game just came out that day. But with their kind of exclusive VR releases, it seems like they always get a stack of them and nobody's like coming in to snap them up off the shelf. So
the last time I went to a GameStop and like purposefully bought something, like I was there for a reason, Dead Island 1. I went for a midnight release.
Oh wow.
No point, no reasoning whatsoever. Like I didn't know anything. I was just like, I can't wait for this new zombie game. And that was PS3, man. So I mean, it was a while ago for sure.
Yeah.
Now AJ,
I got this shirt from GameStop. The last time I went to GameStop, they said liquidation sale, everything must go, because they're going out of business. So that was that. I got this for cheap. So.
AJ, so do we have a price on this? I'm assuming no.
I don't believe there's a price yet. However, ILMX Lab said after announcing it is a special retail edition of the award-winning Vader Immortal series on PlayStation VR. It's coming this spring. And is in collaboration with Perp Games and features an exclusive digital art book, postcards, and more. So what I'm curious about is the contents that it's going to come with. Are these going to actually be digital, or are they going to be physical edition stuff? Because it's all about the physical, right?
I got to wonder, too, like if a VR game comes with a digital art library or something like that, like do you look at that in VR? or is that a flat thing that you
Usually
access
it's flat.
separately? Like, I would think it would be flat, but I've never seen a game that was like, hey, there's an art gallery as a bonus that's a VR game. Right? I can't think of one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, because it's Star Wars, I'd probably be a little bit more interested. If it was just any old game, I usually would have no interest. But Star Wars is cool stuff, so I might actually be interested in that. Although I would absolutely prefer more physical stuff in the contents of the package.
This
Yeah,
is
for
funny. Featuring an exclusive digital art book, comma, postcards, comma, and more. I love that it starts with exclusive digital art book, comma, postcards. I'm like, wait, digital art book?
Postcards, right?
You know, yeah.
Well,
the
I think
digital
they're real postcards.
too.
I'm assuming real postcards.
It should be real, and that'll be
Physical
cool.
postcards.
That'll be cool too.
I want them to have a damn manual in the thing. Anytime a game comes with a manual,
It's not
like,
happening.
it's so nice though. Like,
I know.
I should almost grab Cave Story. You guys have Cave Story on Switch, right, Brian?
On Switch and 3DS, yeah.
A lovely manual. It has an actual manual with art, and you flip through it, and you're like, oh my god! It came with a soundtrack CD. I was like, yes.
Guys, so this is like nice news and everything. Don't get me wrong, but the fact is like the physical editions are nice when everything has been patched. The game is the way it should be. It can be printed on a disc, and you never have to worry about updating that thing ever again. Like, it comes with the most up-to-date version. But so far, ILMX Lab has not patched this game with full locomotion or any kind of fixes for all the problems that we listed during review time. So then there's still audio issues with this game. What are the chances that they're gonna this is gonna coincide with like a patch that, hey, here's the final version, and we also printed that version out for it to go gold on this physical perp release?
I would hope that would be the case, but I'm not holding my breath.
Same,
I guess.
I definitely, it was definitely disappointing. It was something that seemed obvious that would get patched after how vocal everybody was. And so it was a little bit disappointing that ILMX Lab just completely ignored us. That usually doesn't happen when so many people say that. That being said, this game sells like hotcakes. It's a top 10 downloaded PSN game, PSVR game every single month. So it would be nice for them to do us a solid and patch that stuff in. However, it is not required in order for them to keep selling this game.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
True. Shout out to Gatorade23 with the $5 tips. Has been following you guys for a while and figured it's time to officially chime in and say hi. You guys are the perfect trio. Keep up the awesome work. Dude, thank you so very much.
Thanks,
we appreciate that. It sounds like Gatorade23 is one of those people I always call out at the end of the show and watching in the shadows. So thank you for coming out from the shadows. Hey, what's up, Creeper Betty? PSVR with a $10 tip says, you guys are in good spirits today. AJ, no licking the streets, please. Love you all, and thank you for all you do for us.
But I'm vaccinated.
I can do whatever I want.
I could jump off buildings and survive now.
That's how that works. I don't think that's the case at all, actually. Thank you, Creeper Betty. Really appreciate you. Remind me to email.
Let me give a quick shout out also to Tony Albano in the chat. Said
Tony Albano.
Okay. He's not on The Sopranos, or maybe he is.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah, we don't know his life story.
Well, all right. Anyways, he said, this channel convinced me to finally purchase a PSVR a couple months ago, and I've been following every video since. Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated, dude. And I'm glad we could help you make a good decision like that. Oh, and we got one more from Belramio. This is €5. I know what those are. And he says, which company is worse in after live support, like after the game comes out? ILM or the Gargantuan devs? Is that
Swords of Gargantua? Yeah.
Swords of Gargantua? That's what I thought. Yeah, okay.
I'd probably say ILM because nobody bought Gargantua, so they didn't have any reason to keep supporting it or anything. We kind of let them down on that one. But ILM, when your game is successful, it is pro-consumer to give the fans, give everyone who supported your game something in return, something back, what they asked for, and especially features that were in the other versions of the game that those people clamored for and they got. So yeah, I think I'm very disappointed in ILM. I still think it's a great experience. I know it's been a controversial topic for a while. I think it's a great experience, but yeah, it's a little disappointing when devs kind of turn their back on us like that.
They should patch up that last that Rise of Skywalker movie. That could use a patch.
I'm gonna say the Gargantua devs for sure because because that's an ongoing game. That's a game that like I was having a blast with, and on other platforms they are continually updating it, giving new things to do, whatever. Like everything just seems like it's going pretty well on other platforms. Meanwhile, in PSVR land, they seem like they've just abandoned it. Like, oh, it didn't sell well enough. I was like, well, it's going to continue not to sell well if you don't support it, right? You know, say Swordsman sold pretty well out of the gate, but it continues to sell well because he keeps updating it, adding new features and content, and keeping the conversation going about it. Swordsman, if the conversation wasn't there at the beginning, that conversation can ramp up eventually, and you can eventually sell your games. Which they were just like, oh, it didn't go so well right off the bat, so we're just fucking throwing in the towel, or that's what it seems like anyway. Shout out to Dead Ringer, $5 tip, says watching with both Dead Ringer Juniors. Happy weekend, GameCast. Oh God, do I need to watch?
What up, Dead Ringer Juniors? What up, Dead Ringer too? Hope you're well, man.
Yes, thank you so much for the donation.
Hope you're recovering all right after your unfortunate little thing. I always hate to hear that, man. Guys, you ready to move on?
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
move
on.
So what we're talking
that's
about.
coming this spring. We'll get more info as it comes out to us. Something I threw in here. This is not. It's a little discussion piece. Something that kind of took me by surprise, and wanted to see your guys' 2 cents on this. When you think of the art style of Borderlands, Dave, what is the art style to you?
Cel-shaded.
Okay, so there was a tweet by Randy Pitchford, and he was
everyone's favorite guy.
He was responding to something that says, "What opinion of yours would have non-artist people like this?" And it's got like the swords surrounding everybody. And he says, "Borderlands is not cel-shaded." And then he actually spelt it C-E-L-L, quoted his own tweet and says, "As if to make it absolutely clear that Borderlands is not cel-shaded, I cannot even properly spell cel-shaded."
I don't think anybody was convinced by that, Randy. It's like, I don't even know how to spell it. How could we possibly have it in our game?
But anyways, he responded. He also replied by saying, "Internally, we called it concept art style, but mostly we just call it Borderlands style. Cel shading is a very different technique and look. Nothing about Borderlands lighting is cel shaded, which is the most defining aspect of cel shading. We do like ink lines, though." So I was first taken by surprise from this because I was like, "Oh, so you don't actually technically call it cel shading?" And I thought that was interesting. But Bryan, you care to share some thoughts on this?
I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, cel shading to me isn't the technique they use to arrive at the final product. Cel shading to me is like a look. It's part of the aesthetic, right? Like, does this look like watercolors? Does this look like does this look photorealistic? Does this look like cel shading? It's just like one of it might have been a very specific technique at one point, and you had to do things a very specific way back like when it first debuted in the PS2 era to make that thing happen, and now like you can do it in numerous different ways, so you don't have to call it anything. But like but for me, it's all about what does the game look like, and if it looks like cel shading, then we're gonna call it cel shading. I mean, this is again, this goes back to the PS2 era, and I remember like when cel shading was like super prevalent or super popular at first, there was like that car racing game Cell Damage. Wind Waker was obviously cel shaded. There was Killer 7, and then the one that always sticks out in my mind is Klonoa 2, because that was Namco.
Well,
lest we forget Jet Set Radio.
Also Jet Set Radio,
yeah,
which is definitely cel shaded. And so, but I remember the Namco devs, the Klonoa 2 devs, going, "Oh, our game isn't cel shaded. It's the Klonoa filter." And I was like, "You just renamed cel shading Klonoa filter." Like, so this is the exact same thing, just 20 years later. I don't understand like why even have a discussion on it, Randy. Like,
yeah, it's like, listen, Okami is not watercolors, okay?
I mean, Okami's another great example, man. Like, absolutely.
That's cel shaded too, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it takes it, but it's like slightly different. But I mean, we're still gonna throw it in. We're still gonna throw it in and be like, it's just different enough as Borderlands is just different enough. But it all gets lumped together. It's like it's not photorealistic. It's not anime style. It's cel shaded.
Yeah.
Decepticon says this is like the GIF argument. The only difference, Decepticon, is that it's called GIF and it's not called GIF.
It's one of those things where
butter.
The person who created it can tell me whatever the fuck he wants about what it's called, I don't care. It's a GIF, dude. That's it.
Unless you grew up in my household and we were, calling it GIF for the last 30 years. And then I had to come around and finally change when the internet was like, oh no, it's Konami, not Konami, Brian. I was like, all right.
Konami.
It's not Ninja Gaiden. It's not Ninja Gaiden, Brian. It's Ninja Gaiden. I was like, okay. All right.
Gaiden.
Right.
Well, I did always say Gaiden, but yeah, I was just, it took me, I had to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, have I been saying this wrong? Because I always, as bad as I am about pronunciations and stuff, I'm always like, I want to know what the correct way to say it is, or
pronunciations, actually. Got him.
Oh, I'm gonna strangle you. But yeah, so I just thought it was an interesting discussion topic piece, real quick to see. But I kind of agree with you guys. They can call it. It is, when you look at it, you say cell shaded. Don't get it complicated. Or cell shaded looking. A cell shaded look is something else. But he mentions that people like to say that because it has this ink outline to it that gives off that kind of look.
So people like to say it because that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
right.
Right. That's the answer. Yeah. Dude, I love the chat right now. They're bringing up so many different games that I almost forgot about, like Automodelista. I forgot. I've never known how to say that properly.
Mad World. I love Nick's comment about Mad World. It's not black and white. It's uncolored. Thanks, Randy.
Rypop brought up 13, which is another great game.
Yeah,
dude, so many.
Weren't they going to remake that, or didn't they re-release that or something? I wanted to play it. I never.
Oh yeah, no, they did. They put that out. I think it's out on PS4 already. I think.
I would check that out.
I kind of forgot about that.
All right.
That was a random conversation, man. I kind of like that.
Yeah,
it's Friday.
I thought it was nice.
It's Friday.
Dumb, fun Friday topic. All right, guys. So moving on to more important things. Wanderer, which was debuted on the PSVR, is April AF. The finale, the grand finale, or is it finale?
I keep saying PSVR is April AF.
Yeah.
You say that every time, and it's funny as shit.
Well, maybe you should name it something better next time.
If it makes you feel any better, like I also do that.
It's one of them song in the smoke names. But anyways, so they unveiled their brand new trailer along with a new PS blog that gave us a release window of Q3 is what they're aiming for. And guys, this game has a lot of people excited.
Yeah, for sure. This blog post was incredible. And it was written by Sam Ramlou. She's the executive producer over there, M Theory and Oddboy, working on this. And same person I've been in touch with. So I've got a few more details further than the blog post, but I do want to point out a few of the things that were said here. Wanderer combines a unique blend of escape room style puzzles, hands-on action sequences that'll bring together objects and events from various time periods in sometimes unlikely and inventive ways. Take a step back into history with full motion controls on dual PS Move controllers to experience beautifully detailed worlds that come to life with realistic and innovative physics-based interactions. What wasn't 100% clear there, full motion control does actually mean full locomotion. You can play this. The trailers, for whatever reason, only show teleportation, but there is 100% full locomotion in this game as well.
Good.
Some people were also speculating based on my voiceovers for the breaking news report for this. They said something about feature length game. It's a feature length game. Don't worry, just because it's just because it's our first game, don't worry. It's and because it's the first in a 3-part series. It was like, oh no, not again. Right? It's like, why? So we'll
at least it's not titled Wanderer Chapter 1,
right,
or Part 1, because like if you have a trilogy of games where they're all named something different but they're spiritually sequels to each other, do that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to release a Chapter 1 game, we're going to write you off like immediately. Like they're never going to come up with Chapter 2.
Well,
so
a big part of the thing, I keep seeing comments about this, and I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I think this goes for Hubris, this goes for Ionia, this goes for Wanderer. All of these games are you can call it episodic, you can call it Chapter 1, you can call it Part 1, but the fact is that doesn't mean you're getting a third of a game. And that is so important to distinguish, because this isn't like The Exorcist Chapter 1, which is literally just the first fifth of the game. This isn't like Tarzan Chapter 1, which is just the first third of the game. This is different, right? All of these games that we're talking about, Wander, Ionia, and what was the other one I just said? these games are all complete experiences, complete games. And they're doing themselves a disservice because they're confusing the audience, saying, bringing to mind things like Exorcist or maybe other games that didn't get their Chapter 2. But these are full games, and I wish developers would stop saying this, because it's like saying, oh, Raiders of the Lost. Absolutely, it's almost like Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, right? And everybody was like, this is fantastic, this is a great movie, but no one. But two more movies came out soon after it, and no more after that. There were only 3 Indiana Jones movies ever.
The other one doesn't count. Shia LaBeouf was never young Indiana Jones. He will never be again.
Absolutely. Yeah. But if they called it like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Indiana Jones trilogy Part 1, it was like, just don't do that, man. It's like, just put your game out, call it Wanderer or call it Ionia, call it whatever fucking game, right? And don't call it Chapter 1. Just be like, hey, and then if it sells really well and then it's time to make a sequel, make a sequel. Like, just it's because it's just confusing things right now. I want people to know that these are full games. So when the term feature length came up in my breaking news report, the question was, well, what does that mean? And
like a movie, maybe.
Like what, 2 hours, right?
Yeah, like a movie.
I can confirm it's a full-length game. That's all I can confirm. I can't tell you how many hours, but I can confirm that it is not like a 2-hour game. And so please don't worry. They're still working out, like, it's a puzzle game too. So it's like, depending on how good you are at the puzzles, it's going to determine how quickly you finish it. But just know that just because this is Chapter 1 or Episode 1 or whatever the hell they end up calling it, it does not mean it's any less of a game.
I got 2 things to say on this.
Yeah.
First of all, I like what Dan Kiefer said in chat. He says they should start with Episode 4, do it Star Wars style. How much balls do you have to be like, hey man, this is my first movie in a series. It's Episode 4, and it's like, what the fuck? What do you mean it's Episode 4?
Yeah,
and he just went with it. The other thing that I like here, where is this comment? Oh, I need to give Ryan from the VR Grid a hard time. He says, Crystal Skull is all right. I'll fight anyone that says otherwise.
You can fight.
There is a scene.
It's fucking
there is
terrible.
an extended Ryan.
And Ryan, I will gladly beat you up.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I gotta say. There is an extended scene in Crystal Skull. You may not remember, but you probably will, where Indiana Jones is extended between 2 jeeps, and he's got one leg on one jeep, and he keeps getting hit in the nuts over and over again, like some old slapstick gag. And they just keep doing it. And I'm like, oh, what is this? What is this fucking movie? What am I watching? And then the big UFO comes up at the end. Spoilers. Sorry, Jesus.
So bad. Yeah. It's so bad. But that's not the point, really. Guys, so
the point is that Ryan's always wrong, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And make sure you get that on a box quote, too. Ryan's always wrong.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Well, we'll get that on the Wanderer box.
Get that on the... what if I told you guys that I was very, very excited about this puzzle game?
I wouldn't be surprised. You love.
I would say, hey, it's Friday. Every time AJ says puzzle, you guys know what to do.
Yeah, man. I actually think this game looks phenomenal. I love the I love the first visually it looks fantastic. I love the direction they're going in. Some of the premise of the game where it kind of, you've been referencing lots of Quantum Leap, and I think that is awesome. The way that you're basically going back and trying to alter history from basically destroying itself, humanity from destroying itself by going back and traveling through time and stuff. And you get to take on the role of certain historical figures and stuff. I love that. And yeah, it's a really cool concept. And I think it looks stunning, and I'm really excited about it. It's got a mix of very atmospheric movie. It looks almost like movie quality stuff. Same things I loved about Invisible Hours and Farpoint.
He woke up to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own and driven by an unknown force that changed the history for the better. His only guide on his journey was Al, an observer from his own time who appears in the form of a hologram that only Sam can see and hear. And so Dr. Beckett finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping that each leap would be the leap home.
Is this the IMDb page for Quantum Leap?
Yeah, unfortunately,
No.
the text was really small and I couldn't read it well. I screwed up the ending, but man, I fucking loved
Bryan doesn't
Quantum Leap.
remember anything that well.
I loved Quantum Leap, man. That was like one of my favorite shows when it was on, for sure. Yeah, no, this game is beautiful, and I'm super excited. I know everyone's asking, is it a PSVR 2 game? And currently, it's not a PSVR 2 game. Like they are very much focused on getting this out for PSVR 1, and dude, that's awesome. Like that, this is one of those things. It's like really like the final year of PlayStation VR 1. What an amazing swan song kind of game, kind of year. Also, this is the episode 1, the first game in the series is being developed with Sony Computer Interactive, Sony Entertainment America, Sony Interactive Entertainment. What are they called now?
Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, like they're part of this, man, and it's like, you know, that's good news, man. Like hopefully this thing will get the publicity it deserves. Hopefully it'll sell well, and you know, onto episode 2 eventually.
Well, and I gotta hope too, with a game that looks this pretty in the preview footage we've seen, that Carlos is shouting at me. I'll have to deal with that. But I would hope that they have a PS5 patch for this thing. I hope we can get the best quality available on the PS5 because it looks like it's going to be a very pretty game. And I hope that we don't get a downgraded version just to make it run on the PS4.
My hope is that it's an adventure like Red Matter, something where it like everything you do feels like tactile and you know, there's a lot of like agency, and I just I'm hoping I'm hoping it feels like a just really immersive story driven adventure, and you do these puzzles that make you feel like you're just going on an adventure, and that's what my biggest hope is for this. And I hope it looks as good as it looks in VR.
Yeah, me too. And I really hope the puzzles work themselves out, man, because they don't work themselves out. I hope they're just fun. And definitely defeat the purpose, I think, if they work themselves out.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I love escape rooms, and I love escape room games in VR. You know, even things like 18-4s, that was like, you know, maybe not the best of the best. I enjoyed that for what it was, and I really hope that this is more polished than that, which it already looks more polished than that, and that the puzzles feel good and that they're memorable. It's, you know, because for a puzzle game, if the puzzles aren't good, you kind of lose everything. But this is, I am super crazy excited about this, and I hope it's worth being excited for.
My favorite idea of like what a puzzle game shouldn't be is something AJ said. He said it a few times, I think, but like that little toy in the doctor's office for kids to play with, where you just slide a little thing down the ring, and there's no real puzzle to it. You're just moving a piece.
Yes,
through the
like
like
both
form
games.
Yeah, form is like that.
Yes, I did not like those puzzles. I did like the other one, the next one, a little bit better, but no.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Wanderer looks fantastic. It's coming out summer or Q3, depending on. I mean, it's all kind of the same, right? So not too much longer to wait for this one. Should be pretty cool.
Hells yeah. Well, guys, yesterday we did a live watch along of the Resident Evil Village showcase. And while we were met with a little bit of mixed emotions and stuff, you know, we had said over and over and over, at least I did. Let me speak for myself here, that to me, it seemed fishy that they were going to be able to pull off a PSVR 1 version. It could still happen, but there was no announcement. And to me, the dream is dead for PSVR 1. However, I have reason to be hopeful because Shuhei made an appearance and said, thank you also for creating an amazing PSVR experience with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and said, I'm really looking forward to Resident Evil Village. And I really feel like without the HMD being fully announced yet, you know, we've only seen the controllers, we've heard about some of the features. I feel like there is an awesome opportunity for them. This game has to be in VR one way or another. And because it's a PS5 game, not a PS4 game, I feel like is why it's going to have to make the transition to PSVR 2 for it to happen. So, Resident Evil 4 was also announced on Oculus Quest 2 exclusively.
And we're all very excited about it.
We're very excited about it. But yeah, man, I still think that Resident Evil Village is going to be coming to PSVR 2, like I originally thought.
Dude, that quote from Shuhei was just, I mean, why else would it be there? Why bring up PSVR support if it's for, I mean, if I was the person making this showcase, I'd be like, "Shoo, say whatever you want, just don't mention PSVR." Right, because that's the thing. Like, there's going to be people out there who are waiting to hear about PSVR support, PSVR 1, PSVR 2 for Village. Don't mention PSVR support for Biohazard. Don't do it.
And he snuck it in as well as he could. Yeah,
but
very subtle.
But that's
like winking.
But I would say that if there were no plans for VR support for Village, but if there is VR support for Village, like this seems like a very Shuhei thing to do. Like to kind of give us a wink and a nod and be like, "Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We know you're here for that." And but don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. But I think we'll know when we see the launch lineup of PSVR 2. We're not there yet. We still have a bunch of stuff, PSVR 1 stuff to get through this year, and then we still have more details about the hardware itself. Yeah. But once they start announcing the lineup, if we don't see Resident Evil 8 by like the big launch lineup of PSVR 2, then I'm just like, okay, it's just not happening.
I'm 100% with you. But they haven't talked about really. Sony themselves hasn't talked about any games, and really, other than a couple developers, like smaller developers, True and Pixel, the Pavlov devs, Boneworks, I guess, a little bit bigger. But like these are people kind of like saying, oh yeah, by the way, our game is probably coming to PSVR 2. But like there hasn't been a big reveal, a big announcement, and so I do think that this could very well be a PSVR 2 launch title. They've got plenty of time. They've probably got a year, right?
Do you know why that's awesome news as well? Because they're going to have from now until next year-ish to redesign. This time they can deliver the kind of experience that we are accustomed to now, the kind of experience that we are expecting these days. And they can do it much better with the orbs and with the hardware of the PS5 than they could with the PS4 and the DualShock. Like, what is it is time to move on. We've already seen Resident Evil 4. They've redesigned the thing to work with the Quest hands. I expect something similar with this in the future as well. Completely redesigned and VR ready. And as for Resident Evil 4, I can't say that I'm super confident that it's coming to PSVR or PSVR 2. Right now, my thoughts, because people have been asking, I believe that right now what I do know is that it's an Oculus Quest 2 exclusive, and I'm going to stick with that. But I have been surprised before with what we were just talking about earlier, Vader Immortal. I said there was no way we're getting Vader Immortal because that was directly funded by Oculus. But look, lo and behold, we ended up getting it. So
some franchises are too lucrative to let go. Like if you can put them on any platform and make all your money, like LucasArts is going to want to do that, right? Like Disney wants money, obviously. So like they're going to put it wherever they want. And I think Resident Evil is a similar thing where like the only counterpoint I can think of to this is that VR PC players never got Resident Evil 7, and that was supposed to come to them.
Well,
like the time exclusivity, it was like sort of like up in the air, but it never came. So I do hope that's not a similar thing that happens here.
Right.
But
they could have brought it to PC. They just didn't. I don't know if maybe they just didn't have the resources or what happened there. But
one thing that I haven't thought about until just now that I'd like to see is like, so for instance, in Resident Evil 4, that little trailer we saw when they were talking about it in VR, they had completely redone the inventory system. So it was like VR focused and you had like a table in front of you and stuff.
Which is great.
Well, here's the thing. What if Resident Evil 8 VR isn't just a straight port like RE7 was, but there's actually VR implementation like that? What if they learned something from retooling RE4 for VR that they're going to add to the VR version of, PSVR 2 maybe? That would be really cool. Like, I'd love to see an actually, like, tailored version of RE8.
Especially with that, like, mercenary mode and stuff, that extra content is going to be badass with that new implementation. So that's what I'm hoping for, man. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what most of us have been saying is we want that, as impatient as we are, we want that genuine VR implementation into the game for the best experience possible, I think, and it would be amazing. Stuff like the orb controllers having the haptics and the force feedback and stuff. There was something that caught my attention. Now I'm not crazy about the tall lady like everyone else is, but I did notice there's a part where she like cuts your hand and then like drinks from it. And I was like, dude, people would go absolutely nuts if it like vibrates or whatever when she's doing that, for all you.
It's funny too that this this set of RE7, like RE7, RE8, continuation of the same, RE7 story, they both love hand horror. There's all this body horror that's like hand-based.
Always
Like
the
you
hand.
get your hand cut off, there's a knife through your hand, somebody cuts your hand and drinks out of it. It's like they have this weird affinity for hand horror.
It's first person
I feel
now.
like that works.
But it's first person. There's only so much of your body you can see in first person.
That's
it's
true,
like,
actually. That's a good point. That's a good point.
If they wanted to do something to your belly button, it would be way harder to see. You'd be like, I have to look down the whole time. It'd be ridiculous.
Well, if it was in VR, though, and they came at you with a knife and you looked down as they were getting in you, that would be like, ooh, that'd be visceral.
Yeah, but
I do want to say Shades of Grey Matter says the fact that that RE7 never came out for PC VR has me a bit concerned. Has Capcom released any other VR games? So I want to say that when that Capcom leak came out that said Sony had paid Capcom $5 million to bring RE7 to PSVR, and then like I think it was said to have like a year exclusivity. Well, no one paid Capcom to bring it to PC VR after that. That's kind of the thing with PC VR, right? It's like there's no one over there on PC VR going, I'm going to give you money to do something for us. It's the fucking Wild West, right? At least when there's somebody like Sony, there's a first party, console manufacturer is willing to but there's no first party PC developer or PC manufacturer. There's not IBM isn't out there anymore going, I'll give you $5 million to bring it to our platform. So no one paid Capcom.
I think the closest thing is Valve probably being the owner of the Steam platform and funding, Half-Life Alyx.
That would be the closest thing.
Really the only thing I can think of.
Valve or some of these, rumored HTC is like a headset rumored. If there's another Quest that is more powerful,
I can't see HTC having original exclusive games. Have they ever had original exclusive games? Somebody keep me honest here. I'm sure there are Vive specific stuff, but I haven't heard about it in
I think they're starting to get more competitive. It's getting more competitive in the VR space, which is a great thing. Which is why I'm always yes, I'm so glad to see these other headsets and stuff making moves because that keeps everybody honest, that keeps everybody competitive, and we always win in that situation, which is why I love competition so much.
I do want to say,
go ahead.
I do want to say that just to close out the RE4 talk from earlier is that I do. There's something in me that's like, you know what, that's going to be a perfect way to close out PSVR 1. I think if that game comes out in the next few months on Quest 2. Then it gets 6, 8, something like that. We don't know exactly how when PSVR 2 is coming out, but say PSVR 2 comes out this time next year, how great would it be to have Resident Evil 4 on PSVR 1 in February? Just to be hey, here's a final swan song. I just said that about Wanderer, but that's coming out way sooner.
Yeah,
I'm not optimistic that's going to happen.
Cool, I'll make a pizza bet with you.
It's mostly because of the controllers. Obviously, the hardware can do it. It's the controllers and the resolution. We've heard from developers firsthand that, even though we personally love the moves for what they've accomplished, which is way more than they should have been able to, we've heard how much developers hate those controllers and trying to use them, especially with what they have offered today. So,
and I think going back to what I was saying earlier about lessons learned from doing an actual VR exclusive version of Resident Evil 4 might be that we see on PSVR 2 all the controller interactions that we want, move controllers, not the DualShock, and everything that everyone said they wanted about RE7, which is I want to grab stuff with my hand, I want to reach out into the world. It seems like if they've already done that with RE4, why not apply that knowledge to their implementation for Village when they release it on PSVR 2? That would make sense to me. That seems like a good idea, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. But I'm definitely, anybody who wants to take a pizza bet, I'm definitely saying this is Resident Evil 4 could be one of the final PSVR 1 games that we get before PSVR 2 launches. If anybody wants to take it, that is out there. Let's move on, though, guys. We definitely talked about Village quite a bit yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Fun topic, though. Anyways, so moving on, FitXR, which is the revamped version of BoxVR. Most of you already have BoxVR, has some major updates. And JMeow, shout out to JMeow, who posted this in the Discord news section yesterday, informed us that there is a new really big revamp going on with BoxVR that is going to change not only just what it is content-wise, but also the pricing of the game.
Yes, it has gone from an exercise machine that you buy and you put in your house and it's done to one of those fancy new exercise machines where you pay every month for it. because there's online classes and stuff to do with other people. So I think the new thing is that they've got these sort of like curated, like led by teachers or something, fitness coaches and stuff to get you moving a certain way. And they're going for that kind of approach, which is really popular with exercise stuff right now. I feel like there are a ton of services like that, like Peloton, that mirror thing. Like there's all these ones where it's just like you're looking at a person telling you how to work out. And I think it's not a bad idea, really. If it, $10 a month isn't the worst thing if you actually get into it and use it regularly. I know our old friend Rob Yescombe is always playing BoxVR like daily. So there are certainly people I know out there who have this as like a routine and would probably pay $10 a month for it.
All right, so just want to make sure we got everything clear here. BoxVR came out on PlayStation VR for $30. And now, soon, the PlayStation VR version will be making the swap over to FitXR. This is going to be basically a free update. The thing is that it feels like a little bit different than the messaging we originally got. It sounded like eventually the Box VR is going to be outdated, and the update FitXR is going to come in and swoop in and kind of like rejuvenate the platform and make everything better. And what it really is though is that FitXR is a free download, or at least it is over on Oculus. And so people who paid the $30 for Box VR, they're moving over to they're gonna be moving over to FitXR with the free patch. But it's free.
One thing that's worth noting there is that if you've bought it already, you get a 90-day free trial of the $10 a month thing. But if you're a new purchaser, or if you get it for free, you only get a 7-day trial. So if you've already purchased it, you get months of the thing for free, which is, I think, it makes sense because like if I get 3 months and I spent $30 on it, then I've made my $9.99 per month payment, and we're even at that point, right?
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's just really strange to me to go from like, hey, it's our $30 game, and now it's suddenly like free to play, $10 a month subscription. My question is, and I think I want to we'll go through all the details here, but my question is for the chat as we go through this. I'd like to hear from everybody and ask who's interested in paying $10 a month for FitXR. Like who out there is like already paying for Rypop is definitely the might be the only one.
He's the target. Well, also Rob Yescombe, I think. There are a lot of people who use this like regularly as a workout thing. Yeah. I know Rye puts on like weights, like he does wrist weights and stuff to get an actual like really good workout. He's like the VR fitness challenge dude, I feel like. But if you're that kind of guy too in the chat, like you'll probably like this. I think it'd be worth $10 a month. I pay $10 a month for dumber shit than this. Constantly, it's fine.
So who I guess my question is like, obviously this is kind of happening at the right time. It kind of would have been even better if this happened last year at this time, because people are paying anywhere from $10 to $40 a month for gym memberships and no longer can go to the gym because of COVID. This could very well take in its place. And VR Grid says this is BS. It changes entirely what I bought.
Literally everybody is saying they are against this, that they have no interest in buying this. So we'll see how this pays off. But, I will say it's cool. To me, the only one positive here is that it does look like there's like some new levels. There's some new workout routines. It's a little bit more like active and stuff. And there is a game. What is that? What is that meditation game that just came out? Trip. That does like daily updates and stuff with like breathing exercises and stuff, and it was actually, I kind of like, while I don't think it's great or anything, I was like, okay, I can at least see some value to this.
Yeah, it's a similar thing where like it's like that's a mental wellness thing, it's a physical wellness thing, but they had a thing each time you'd play Trip VR daily that was like, what's your mood, what kind of state are you in, how you feeling right now, and then they ask you afterwards how you're feeling. They track that in the app. And you can like look over the course of days and like, how was my mood? Which is like not something you need, but it's
that being said, that was a one-time $20 fee, and you get that service forever. And this is, so that's going to turn a lot of people off having that monthly thing.
Right. Well, and that's sort of my question, right? Is like, is $10 a month like this for me to spend $10 a month on this? I'd have to be replacing my gym membership. I'd have to be like, what? As it turns out, I'm not.
Are you going to the gym right now, like during COVID and stuff?
Not
You
right
still
now.
I'm not. No, I'm not currently. But like,
so-
but things. But this is like again, like this. If this was a year ago, it'd be a different story. We're on
True.
the tail end of things. People are getting vaccinated. People are going back to the
Hope
gym
so.
and doing things. And so now it's sort of competing with the gym again. Whereas like it could have been my gym for the last year. So now it's becoming an issue. Now it's like, oh well, I don't know if this is going to be worth it or not. Plus, do I really like want to like sweating in VR? For me, it's like you really have to be in the right mood for that, right? And I don't think summer is when I'm in the right mood for that. I think like if I could open a window in the middle of winter and like get
What I would love to see is at some point in the future, gyms that have VR equipment where it's cleaned, it's replaced. There's like masks you take off. No, hear me out. Just because, like if I'm working out at home in my VR headset and it gets sweaty every day, I'm not going to clean it as well as they're going to clean it every time. You know, like I feel like I'm not as conscientious about my own shit as somebody at a gym would be about their shit.
My gym isn't staffed.
Okay. Well, all I'm saying is this: going to a gym is one thing, but it's not fun. You sit on a thing. There's no risk. There's no reward system. There's no game to it. There's nothing like exciting about doing it. You're just sitting on a fucking treadmill or an elliptical or something, watching a TV show. Like I do like VR exercise because it gets you in the concept of like I'm having fun. Right. Like I'll play Synth Riders for an hour and a half and be sweating my ass off, but I don't even notice I'm exercising because I'm just having a good time with people. And so like that is a great thing that VR does. So I don't know.
More physical, yeah. But again, monthly subscription of $9.99 is going to turn a lot of people off.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess we haven't really even discussed exactly what all of this is going to bring with it. Jay Dow is he's the one who brought this up. He's right. He was the one who brought it up and kind of created this as a topic. And he's texting me right now. It's just like really throwing me off. And I was like, what questions do we need to address for you, dude? But we'll get there though. We'll get there. I want to make sure that we go through this. There's so for $9.99 a month, what's included? You know, again, 7-day free trial. You can cancel anytime. New workouts released daily. Huge on-demand class libraries. Box and dance studios, music from major and indie record labels. So, you know, it's no longer, there's already a ton of music in BoxVR, but to have
it was all like royalty free music. It was like
that was not
music you found in other games. Yeah. You'd be like, hey, wasn't this from BoxVR? Because it's all royalty. But
still better somehow than like O-Shape. Like O-Shape, I feel like was like,
even though they had some of the same songs.
Well, in a good variety though, like a lot of songs.
I hate that song. It's like my time. This is my time. It sounds like a football like
this is my
thing
for sure. So they say multiplayer with voice chat, regular feature releases. Now I contacted them and I was like, listen, I'm a little bit confused here because I own BoxVR and I don't feel as though I really need this subscription service. Like what do I get? Like what happens if I don't upgrade? And basically,
that's a good question.
You keep what you have. Right. And I said, well, what about multiplayer? Because multiplayer is listed in this what's included in the $10 a month. I was like, will I continue to have the same multiplayer support I have now? And they said, yes. And I was like, well, that's good.
Wait, so if you don't pay $10 a month and you've already purchased it, you can still play BoxVR indefinitely the same way it is right now without paying $10 a month?
I mean, it switches over to FitXR, but essentially you can still play the same way that you've been playing.
Well, that's good. I mean, that makes this a little different because, like, if you don't like this $10 a month model and you don't want to do the daily classes and all that shit, then you can just keep what you got. So, like, actually, a lot of the backlash we saw in the comments seems moot at this point, if that's the case. Like, if you can just keep using the product you already own, what's the problem?
Especially if it has some of the new features, like some of the new mini games and stuff, instead of just the punching and the dodging. If it has like that thing with like some of the exercises and stuff, it'd be nice.
I'd be curious to see if we get any of that. I do feel like that, you know, at a certain point they have to make sure that paywall is justified. You know what I mean? To be like, well, if I have 80% of this already, why would I pay $10 a month for the other 20%? I might as well just keep what I have. So I feel like a lot of this is, new captivating environments. Did I miss that? Yeah, there's definitely stuff happening here. And the other thing is that, like, outside of the subscription service, outside of the $10 a month, apparently FitXR is just built better than BoxVR was, according to the devs. They said They said it's been built on a brand new, more stable platform, which means that they can support regular updates, which BoxVR couldn't do nearly as well. So
I'm just curious if we're going to get that 8-person multiplayer stuff that we wanted to do and have workouts with each other weekly and stuff. If we can do that,
well, if not, Synth Riders is on the way, and that's going to have hopefully the 10-player multiplayer, and that's a good ass workout too. So.
Cool.
Now let's run the game feeling with the $5 tip. Says happy payday Friday, gentlemen. With every other VR game already being an exercise, I see no point in paying a monthly fee to do it.
There are other options. That's the problem. That's why I don't like the $9.99 monthly tag, is because there are games like Knockout League that have the one-time pay $4, get the Workout Alley something DLC, and it's got great exercises. It's super physical and it's a lot of fun. So Beat Saber is a great workout and it's a fun game. Pistol Whip is a great workout. So there is competition.
Great workout.
Which game?
Until you fall. I mean,
sure.
You know, and these
if
are
you go hard.
And a lot of these are definitely like, you know, give you different types of workouts and stuff. So like, you know,
Pistol Whip is leg day. Beat Saber is arm day.
Right.
Synth Riders is dance day. You get your dancing on.
We've said this over and over that like BoxVR, when people ask us if BoxVR is any good, every time it's on sale, they ask us if they should pick it up. We say, well, it's not a great game, but it's a great fitness app. Right?
It's a good app. It's an app.
Yeah. And so the fact is like if you're already getting your fitness, as Nihilus Ryan was saying, from all these other games, then this is going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. And if you are a gym person, if you're the type of person who wants to spend a certain amount every month for, you know, because you want to do something physical daily, you know, you want to go to the gym, you want to do something like BoxVR, the fact is like, then you are already paying for a gym membership. That is probably something you're already doing, and you probably don't need this, which concerns me. Because again, summer's rolling around right now. It's starting to get warmer. And the last thing I want to do, I don't mind sweating in VR when it's cold out. I will actually open a window and let cold air in while I sweat, right? Just to kind of balance it all out. But you can't open a window and let cold air in the middle of summer. So you're sweating and it's hot and humid and it's just an absolute disaster. And the next thing you know, you're standing in a puddle in the middle of your living room and it's gross. You know, it's I just don't know if this is exactly how I want to get my exercise in. I love going to the gym. I'm a huge fan of leaving my apartment and being like, for the next hour, I am somewhere else. This is where I'm going to work out. This is where I can stop thinking about everything.
VR gives you that ability. You don't have to go out of your house. You're somewhere else immediately. You're right there. For me, like I have trouble getting into exercise in a traditional way. But VR games, like I said, make me forget that I'm exercising and I'm just having a good time, right? And if I get sweaty, I get sweaty. And at the end of it, I'm like, oh, I actually worked out, kind of. That was cool. But I do think it's worth noting that not every game is designed specifically for like a fitness focus. So like Pistol Whip will give you a leg workout from all the ducking and dodging and shit, but it's not designed to give you a specific body workout or something. And I think BoxVR, they put some thought into like, the way that you do certain patterns is actually designed to be like a workout, which is a little different than the other rhythm games that we have that we say are a workout. You know what I mean? Like it's tailored to be that way. So yeah, just worth keeping an eye on if that's something you're into.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's knock some tips out real quick. Got J Meow with the $4.99 who said nothing. Thanks a lot, J Meow. We love you. Scott Jestico, PSN Harry Fella, the PSVR Game Cat for life.
Future Scott Jestico?
It might be current Scott Jestico, who knows?
Nope.
With the £9, he says, hi, gentlemen. Hi, Game Cats. Just want to say thanks for the shout out. Got another 2 friends to play online with. Still no friend request from Dave. I'm sorry, I'll get you. I was going to say, what's your PSN? But obviously it's in your...
PSN Harry Fella for life, yeah. I think
yeah,
it's ingrained in my memory. We've said it 1,000 times.
Harry Fella. Can't wait to play with the game. I'm wondering if he's talking about Alvo. I'm not sure, but
gotcha.
Yeah, I would totally be into that. And then Professor Lilith with the $5 says, I have 38 VR games, but I've been spending all of my time in No Man's Sky expeditions. That's awesome. How many, Lilith, tell us how far you in. Like, there's like several phases of it. AJ, you're muted, by the way.
Woo! Yes.
AJ comes off mute just to go woo. Woo! Like back to mute.
Yeah, what phase are you on? There's 5 phases. I want to know what phase you're on. No Man's Sky actually had a huge update today that was just addressing a lot of crashes and bugs and tweaks and stuff like that. So I'll be interested to jump back in. Actually, I'm probably going to jump back into that tonight and see that. Guys, are you ready to move on? We're running out of time. We got more to talk about.
One teensy tiny thing to say real quick. Tony Albania is back in the chat.
Tony Albania.
He's Tony Albania now. He's been renamed.
Albania.
He says, being a disabled veteran, BoxVR has been a godsend for working out. Lost 18 pounds and looking forward to losing more. So that's a huge endorsement. That's awesome.
Nice. Get into our Discord. Get into that weight loss challenge. I'm currently trying to lose a few pounds myself.
I try to forget that channel exists.
Also,
thank you. Shame.
Also, thank you for your service, Tony Albano. All right, guys. So moving on. Guys, I'm a little suspicious of Bryan here. He's been acting very, very fishy.
I'm always
Bryan
fishy.
He's always making fun of me about how, we can't ever do anything when we're vocal. We don't ever have an impact. Nobody's listening to us. And then he goes on Twitter and says, why isn't there a Paranormal Activity 2? Why isn't that? All of a sudden out of nowhere, now Paranormal Activity devs are tweeting constantly, what would you like to see in Paranormal Activity 2? Like so many different things. They're doing polls. They did a poll if you want it to be single player, multiplayer, or co-op. Everybody chose single player. Why? I did multiplayer because I would love that game. They're showing off early concept art. They said what most would you like fixed, changed in the second Paranormal Activity game? There's a lot of talk about a Paranormal Activity 2, Bryan. What have you done? What did you do? What do you know? Tell us right now.
What I say real quick. It wouldn't be Paranormal Activity if it didn't have 90 sequels. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
They've established the template already.
They do have to stay within the lore of the game, but that gives them a lot of room anyway. It's like Walking Dead.
That's totally fair, guys. To kick off this conversation, I'd like to ask both of you. We've played a lot of scary games in VR. They've ranged like really all over the place, man. Like Don't Knock Twice was buggy and crappy and stuff, but like still had some good moments. What were your thoughts on Paranormal Activity, the first one?
For me, unfortunately, like I remember it being a sort of above par horror game, but it kind of got lumped in my brain with every other horror game that got released in that sort of time. And so, like, if you ask me the difference between that and, I don't know, Affected the Manor or something, I don't think I'd be able to like really convey that because it sort of got lost in my mind after I played it. I remember it being good. It had some good scares, but it wasn't like super memorable, I guess. Certain games have stuck out to me a lot more as far as horror goes, like Transference. I'll never forget having played that. Paranormal Activity, it kind of just washed in with all the other horror stuff for me.
The first time I played it was on Halloween 2018, and it was a lot of fun. I was streaming it as well. So it was just a really good time. But I do remember saying to myself, I don't know if I consider it like super scary, like especially like being that it was something, like PT that is supernatural, really scared the shit out of me. But that being said, I went and played it back recently, a couple months ago, maybe. Somebody requested it on Viewer's Choice, and I put it on this hell mode. And it is randomized jump scares. So I don't know if it's the randomized jump scares or randomized events or it was the hell mode. But it scared the ever living shit out of me the last time I played it, even streaming and stuff. So I thought I had a much better experience with it the second time playing it on that higher difficulty mode or whatever that is. And I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it wasn't like the most deepest game or anything, but what it got right, I thought was really, really awesome.
Yeah, this is, in my book, this is very polished, I feel like the locomotion system works great. I feel like it looks fantastic. Like I like to use terms like photorealistic environments, but as what in VR, we know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't mean that it is photorealistic, but it's about as close as we're going to get on PlayStation VR 1 with the current gen hardware. And I think that this comes really close. I think this house is like really well designed. It is beautiful and it's super scary, man. Okay. No. We're almost focusing in on whatever's on that piece of paper. We can almost read it. The camera's struggling, but we can almost read it. Shout out to Jay Meow with the $1 tip. And
it's an eye test.
And MRI Gamer with the $1 tip. Both of them putting little emojis in there. Scary face and devil face. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, this was. I really thought this was amazing. I think the biggest issue with this game was that it was only a couple hours long. Like you could blast through it in about 2, maybe 3 hours at most your first time through, and then and there wasn't a ton of reason to replay it. And it was like $35, I think, 37. It was something crazy, absolutely crazy. Now I'm sure that they had to pay for the Paranormal Activity license, but that's like still inexcusable. Like for a $20 game, it would have been way easier to recommend. So anytime it goes on sale for like $7 or $8, we're like, yes, absolutely pick this thing up. It's super scary, as AJ was saying, and basically just been wondering like what the hell is going on with the sequel. And so they want to make one. That seems to be the answer. And it seems like also that they're in very early stages of making it. So because if they're putting out polls and stuff saying, do you want to be like single player or multiplayer or whatever, that's saying, okay, we're still in the concept stages, right? But I'm glad single player took that poll, or won that poll, because as cool as like it'll be when Phasmophobia gets here on the PlayStation VR, that's Phasmophobia, right? That is doing its own thing.
You know why I voted multiplayer? Is because I feel like not enough people play scary games because they're afraid to. But if you throw in other people with their friends, I feel like they're more likely to play it. So that's my thought process behind it. I too am typically a single player person, but I feel like adding multiplayer element is what gets more people the courage to play multiplayer games and stuff. So I'm really just trying to get people into that to see how fun they are, how fun they can be, because I really feel like too many people miss out on stuff like Resident Evil 7 because they're so intimidated by it. And it's just sad because they're missing out on such a fun game and experience as well. And I really just want to figure out, how do we get people to do this more? So yeah, maybe not the most best reasoning behind it, but still, I'd be very excited if they made a second one and just make it as scary as possible. That's all I want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely the answer. Like if you're going to charge $35 for it, again, like you bet it has to be like way, way, way longer than the first one was. But honestly, like I wouldn't mind. Like the fact, like Dave actually said this right from the beginning. He said sequels, man. It's like Paranormal Activity is all about sequels. So don't make it a 5, 6, 7 hour game. Just give us another 2-3 hour game at $20. But find a way to be able to like make a new one every 2 years or so. Because that's I absolutely love this stuff. If a new Paranormal Activity came out every year. If a new Paranormal Activity movie came out every year, I would watch the new Paranormal Activity movie every single year, right? And there was a while where it seemed like that was actually kind of happening. Like they were coming out so frequently, and I was still so excited even until the very last one. And so, like, if you could figure out how to, make your 2-3 hour Paranormal Activity game like a sequel every 2 years or so, that would be amazing. Affected the Manor, is another one where I was like, how come this is like a haunted house? I want a new haunted house every year. So I was a little surprised that like Fallen Planet Studios kind of took so long to come around for DLC. So I hope they figure this out, and I really hope that Paranormal Activity 2 is coming. Obviously they're hinting left and right about it. And if they did something co-op like Phasmophobia, I mean, don't get me wrong, yeah. I'd be all about it.
Yeah. I mean, some people are saying co-op or multiplayer makes scary stuff less scary. But play Phasmophobia and you'll change your mind. That shit is terrifying. It is terrifying. And it's very, very fun. And I think we'll get it at some point.
You can design it in a way to be multiplayer and scary.
Yeah, for sure.
It would be cool.
Especially if you get each other together, then you separate them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, tricked you.
Right. If you had if you had different puzzles that require different people to be in different rooms, and then like, okay, hey, you do this, I'll do this, and then suddenly the door slams shut and you can't like see each other. I mean, there's an infinite number of possibilities.
It was a dirty trick that I would play on if I was a developer.
but again, that would be really difficult because like, what if then suddenly is it no longer able to be played single player? Like, because these rooms are designed, with co-op in mind.
Right.
And then suddenly you like kind of like alienate the people who love horror games the most, which I think are a lot of single player gamers. I think that those two things go hand in hand because things are scarier when you're by yourself.
I think you have to choose one or the other with a game like this. It's got to be either just single player or just multiplayer. Because Phasmophobia single player wouldn't even be fun, But like because you're working together with people and you're like, who's got the rubbing stick and who's got the camera? Get in here! My sanity's getting low. I need a light. All that shit. Like that's what makes it tense and exciting and fun. A single player wouldn't make sense. And so I hope they don't do like a mode that's multiplayer because that's just pick your focus and do it. I think it's better.
Yeah. So guys, make sure you show your support. Tell these developers that you do want the sequel to come. I think they need to hear it. I think that they also are trying to show people who would be interested in funding the project that there's interest in a sequel. And so it's much harder to fund a project when it doesn't seem like there's any interest in it whatsoever. I think Paranormal Activity 1 came out during a tough time. It was like still fairly early days of PSVR, and it was overpriced. So I don't think it got the attention it deserved, and hopefully it's getting that attention now. We'll see, man. We'll see. This is kind of exciting, and again, obviously this would be a PSVR 2 title. So I mean, if I thought that the environments of Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul 1 were photorealistic, I can only imagine what increased resolution, increased field of view, those triggers, the new controllers, what all that would do to make me really feel like I was in that environment. I think it'd be a home run, man. I think
that to answer their question of what would I improve from the first one, I would just make sure there is no way you go through the game without having a terrifying experience, because I felt like that one you could go through it with some lackluster scares and stuff like that. I would just ensure that no matter which path you take, which way you go, that you will be scared 100%. But I do like that they did the randomized stuff, but I would like different stuff to happen so that you could replay it, and maybe have different outcomes, different things like that.
Different paths, right? Maybe even different paths through the house and try to figure out.
But they all have to be terrifying. No way of accidentally like this one's okay, this one was good. You want everybody to have the same horrified experience.
Yeah, 100%. I do want to say real quick, Offcore has asked this question a few times in the chat. He says, "Hi guys, love your shared knowledge. Is there any news on Undead Citadel? Many thanks." Yeah, Offcore, we've been I've been in touch with Dark Curry pretty often. Like anytime we do anything, I always reach out to them and like, hey, you guys want to share anything for the April's PSVR AF event? And they're like, oh, we're still toiling away over here. We've got nothing to share quite yet. So we're just kind of trying to give those guys their space and let them work on Undead Citadel. And they're in the final stretch here. It's just like let them work and not bother them. And as soon as we have an update for you, we'll absolutely share that. Jamie, with a $2 tip, said, did Bryan just say adaptive triggers? I think I said adaptive triggers.
I think he did. I think he might have.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Listen, this is we're definitely going over our time a little bit here, but we do want to say thank you so very much for hanging out with us on this awesome Friday episode of PSVR Gamescast Live. Thank you guys for anybody who's here was for the Village celebration yesterday, for Gamescast all week long. We really want to thank you. Thank you to everybody who tipped. Thank you to everybody who hung out in the chat and shot the shit with us. And of course, thank you to everybody who sat back, watched the show, and didn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there, and we love you just as much. I promise. I mean, really, guys. I mean,
post up, AJ. Post up.
I really feel lame.
Do this in VR. You do this in VR. You can't do this on a flat screen.
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe to AJ over at PSVR Underground. Subscribe to Dave over at Daystation VR. I'm sure these guys are going to be streaming stuff over the course of the weekend. If not, then they'll be streaming stuff at some point soon.
Viewer's Choice returns tomorrow. I'm driving back to Atlanta, like I said, and thank you guys so much for all the support that you've been giving me while I've been here. It's been a long and challenging road, but everything has been working out really, really well. So just thank you. A lot of your support that you voiced was heard and stuff, and it brought a lot of happiness to us over here. So man, it is time to head back home tomorrow morning, and I will be kicking things off with Viewer's Choice once again tomorrow night. So forget
Fred Halls it is. Fred Halls it is.
Forget it exists. Pick something else. My excitement level just went like I'm always excited. I was really excited about it until people mentioned Dread Halls, and I was like, man, I was really happy being away from it. And so we'll see what happens.
All right, you guys. I think that's gonna do it. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you soon. Let's cue the cat.
Take it sleazy.
Cue the cat, because I want to say goodbye to Sheets of Great Matter. Thank you for the hug to Mom Cannon. Secrets of What is Up, Got No Pockets, the Who Dat, Game Cat, GC13, Diet Pepsi Cat. Where's my PS5 patch and my extra content that you promised on that IGN article? Guys on fist bump to you, MRI Gamer, Delirium Drew VR, Steve Irie, Old Darth, Twitch of the Single Player Game Cat.
Oh, Jamie with the 99 for the big old sunglasses.
For J Meow, thank you so much for the donation. Time to play. Time to live up to your name. Atmos VR 77. Nick Mulo, the Game Cat. Thank you so much. Gabriel 004, the license Meow Game Cat. Meow meow. Meow meow. Oh, 4. Meow meow, the Game Cat. Decepticon. Oh,
Bill, baby.
Yeah. Who else we got? I know we got some more people here. Stingray X. That sounds like a Mega Man enemy. Professor Lilith, thank you so much. Maybe see you on No Man's Sky soon. Carl Parker, thank you. PSVR Underground, I know that name. It sounds familiar, but I can't remember where I heard it. The VR Grid, hello. Thank you so much for joining. JD Meows, the Sim Racing Cat. Meow. Race. Ace Phil, your crack, fist bump to you. Spence J. Ray. Spence Ray J says, what happened to Desra?
Hey man, I know he's a magician and he performed his biggest disappearing act of all.
John Riggs in the house tonight. What up, JR? Wait, I just saw somebody else. Darkwing Chuck, the Game Quack. Darkwing Chuck, Boy Brown, thank you so much. Thank you guys all so much. Scott Jessico for the donation. Thank you, RG. Thank you, Triangulator, my dude. Bob Zarkoff, the Underground. Dave Station, Game Cat. Elite Name Squad in the house, guys.
Let's play Alvo.
Let's play
tonight.
Alvo. Let's play Alvo.
Yo,
Everybody join the.
I'm talking to you guys.
Let's join, guys. Well, I'm talking to the cats, man. Everybody join the Discord.
That's what I meant.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then I'm also talking to
Not
those
you
guys.
No.
Oh, we
Them,
don't.
those
No,
guys.
we're talking to those guys. Well, join the Discord. Join the Discord, and we'll play some Alvo. Let's do it, man.